This video is for international trade as part of AQA A-level economics. Now, it's such a popular topic for examiners, and as we can see, it's been common on the legacy spec, often being assessed, but also on the new spec as well. So as we can see on the new spec, just some of the questions that have been asked so far. And what you'll realise is for many of these questions, a lot of the analytical points are similar, and they just might need tweaking a little. So when considering globalisation or trade liberalisation or some form of membership of a trade bloc, whether that's, for example, a free trade area, a customs union, a single market, a monetary union, a lot of the same benefits can actually be used. Now, this video will consider some of these benefits and how they can be used to show AO1 and AO2, but also to set up your AO3 points. So to begin with, it's key to remember that if we open ourselves up to trade with the rest of the world, with the whole population to target our products to in terms of exporting, but also we have access to resources that we can import. Approximately the world population in 2022 is 7.9 billion people. Between the years 2000 and 2019, the wealth share of emerging economies more than tripled. So from 9.3% to 30.3%. Now this demonstrates how globalisation has helped develop countries. And the more they develop, the more likely they are to become customers of, for example, the UK. Now we can consider the cost advantages of targeting such a large population by economies of scale. Clearly, by firms being able to target the globe, they can grow and increase output. By increasing output, they can gain cost advantages, lowering their long-run average total costs. So as the information on the slide says, it enables welfare benefits to all involved. Firms, they also produce more goods to sell and achieve obviously such economies of scale as, for example, purchasing, but also for customers, they can now consume products at a cheaper price due to the cost efficiencies being passed on to them. Now, if we consider Apple, they are the world leader in smartphones, having the highest market share across every continent. In China alone, profit achieved was 23.6 billion in 2021, which was up from 11.3 billion the previous year. And due to selling across the world, they can achieve such economies of scale. As it says there, approximately their manufacturers who they outsource some of their production to help to produce 500,000 iPhones a day. They can also search the globe for the resources at the most efficient prices. And of course, as I mentioned with regards to outsourcing, they can outsource to firms at a cheaper cost, which I will look at later.
Design of every new iPhone starts here, at Apple's headquarters in Cupertino, California, by a team of industrial designers. But the resources needed to make this design a reality come from all over the world. Apple largely depends on outside manufacturers to produce ready-made components for its devices. The company's supply chain is incredibly complex and far-reaching. Apple works with suppliers in 43 countries and 6 continents to make all of its products. And though it's hard to pinpoint exactly where every component of an iPhone comes from, one thing is for certain. It's the result of an incredibly complex supply chain and raw materials that originate from all over the planet. It's a process that transforms the most basic elements into one of the most advanced pieces of technology that fits in the palm of our hands.
Now, the next benefit we're going to consider is comparative advantage, which David Ricardo suggests international trade is mutually beneficial as countries will experience opportunity costs when trying to produce all goods, and therefore it's better to allocate resources and specialise in the goods you have the lowest opportunity cost in. So in this instance, it's shown as inputs. Usually with AQA, it'll be shown as output, but of course you can change it to output just by the hours. Nevertheless, the theory suggests that the UK should produce cloth as their opportunity cost is lower at 0.83 units of wine.
The key economic principles in operation here are specialisation and trade. The initial insight is the intuitive one that countries are endowed in different ways economically, and if they choose to specialise in goods that they're particularly endowed to produce cheaply, then they'll be able to produce more of those goods than of any others. Of course, if countries only specialised in producing the goods that they're most well suited to make, They would obviously have a glut of those goods, and they would also equally obviously have a shortfall in lots of other goods, including many that might be necessary for the maintenance of everyday life. The argument then becomes that countries should specialise in what they're best endowed economically to produce, and then they should trade their surplus stocks in an unrestricted manner with other countries who've also chosen to specialise and trade.
So I've changed the numbers and now work in output. And examiners do like numerical examples to apply your knowledge and do actually consider it a diagram. So not only the PPF, but actually also the tables. So let's imagine that England can produce a maximum of 200 million units of cloth with all their resources, whilst Portugal can produce 100 million units. Then England can also produce a maximum of 1,000 million units of wine, and Portugal 1,500 million units. But of course that would be, as I said before, if they allocate all of their resources, as the PPF shows. Now let's imagine we selected a point on the PPF which is approximately half of their resources. So let's say they shared half of their resources with cloth and half with wine. So now what we have is 100 million units of cloth for England and 50 million units for Portugal, 500 million units of wine for England and 750 million units of wine for Portugal. Now Ricardo acknowledged the opportunity cost involved here, and he believed, if they take one good that they had the lowest opportunity cost in and specialised in that one good, then it would actually produce greater output. So England would be cloth, as 1 unit of cloth is 5 units of wine, which is lower than Portugal's. And Portugal would be wine, which has 1 unit of wine for 0.07 units of cloth, which is lower than England's. So then total output would be larger, as we can see, because cloth is 50 million units more and wine is 250 million units more. So due to this greater output, again, it should help to reduce the price of these goods and help standard of living for both countries wanting to consume these goods. Now, I've already mentioned costs previously, but let's look at it from a macro level. If, of course, firms are achieving economies of scale and being able to specialise in the goods they're most efficient at, and we have the ability to purchase resources from other countries able to achieve the very same, then this should mean that business costs fall. For example, Portugal being able to buy cloth from the UK and also commodities from other countries, which those countries are specialising in, it should help inputs be cheaper and increase short run aggregate supply. So the cost of inputs or business costs can fall. Also, in terms of outsourcing, we mentioned this with Apple, finding producers who are able to operate at a lower cost and be more focused on that specific area of production allows the firm to focus on other functional areas whilst still increasing supply. Finally, more trade globally, the better the relationships and greater sharing of knowledge. Consider how technology advancements have spread across the world. Of course, some countries adopt it earlier, but throughout the process, all countries are technologically evolving. So as we can see here, over time, productivity has increased dramatically for developing countries as they acquire better knowledge on capital and production processes. This increased dynamic efficiency and also productive efficiency should therefore boost the productive potential of the economy. This is also true of the liberalisation of trade, increasing FDI opportunities as well. Now, I've already mentioned population of customers and being able to target more customers, but also this should help increase customer surplus as they have a greater range of products to purchase from at a lower price. So of course, using the trade creation diagram, we can remove the WTO terms or any form of protectionism by countries and now operate at the free trade price. Now what this does, it enables a net welfare gain as greater efficiency is achieved. Now we can also consider the American economist Crotty. Now he describes globalisation as almost achieving perfect competition, as the removal of protectionism helps to eradicate barriers of entry and exit, and we have many buyers and sellers, and of course information improves. So this supports the argument of increased contestability regarding trade liberalisation. Now of course all of these help to achieve greater financial integration, which opens up borders and trade, and there are other benefits which we could consider for specific concepts. However, in this video, I just wanted to go over some of the common ones that you could use. Of course, we could delve into the monetary union deeper with the removal of exchange rates, but that's for you to do as part of your revision.